Oh, City of Evil. Third Avenged Sevenfold release, their most popular probably, definitely the one that has sold the most, and the one that, at this point in time in their discography, featured the most songs that people recognized. Beast and the Harlot, Backcountry, Seize the Day, Burn It Down, Trashed and Scattered. I mean, really, the list goes on and on whenever it comes to this disc. There's a lot more to it than just that. This is an album that it's never really been confirmed that it was any sort of concept disc. In fact, it's more often than not that's been a theory or a myth that's been shot down, but it definitely feels like there's a little bit of a theme running through the entirety of the album. The songwriting, the lyricism is a lot tighter. This is one that has a very personal vibe to it and shows the band really writing with a little bit more, I guess, care toward their lyricism, which is something that has really affected the majority of their discography after this. It's not necessarily that they write to a story, but it's to the fact that they're able to really write to a central theme. And City of Evil really began a structure of a couple of albums of theirs, or at least some of their songs, that have a very cinematic and very personal feel to them. Now, City of Evil isn't perfect as an album, don't get me wrong. City of Evil is probably the album that I enjoyed from Avenged Sevenfold the most, and the reasons for that are pretty much as follows. The tight songwriting on this album is probably at its best for Avenged Sevenfold. It's fantastic. They do a lot of things within their music. This is probably the closest you're going to see Avenged Sevenfold get to a progressive album, considering the moves and the different shifts that you hear in the musical structure from track to track. This is a long album. This is an album that breaks the 70-minute mark. It's 72 minutes and 12 seconds in length, so there's definitely a lot of material and a lot of ground to cover here. However, it's ground and material that doesn't exactly feel completely wasted, though, once again, similarly to Waking the Fallen, this is an album that, near its end, does start to drag a little bit. Strength of the World, for example, I feel is just a little bit too long. And really, like Waking the Fallen, this is probably one of the only weaknesses that this album has, and is definitely the principal one. However, unlike Waking the Fallen, I feel that the extra time on City of Evil is used a little bit better. It's used with a little bit more care. They've been able to really tighten up their songwriting to the point where none of the elements feel wasted, and it seems like all of those extra durations and the extra moments have a purpose and continue on the narrative of the song. And that's where the advances in the lyricism and the advances in the overall musicianship and composition really help the band a lot. This is an album that also features no growling. This is mainly a clean-sung album. There will be some gritty-sounding vocals in the background here and there just to kind of spotlight effect, but at the same time, this is not something where growling needs to even be there. M. Shadows actually went to a vocal coach for a number of months. That way he was able to maintain a little bit of what they call grit in his voice. And I think one of the main reasons why a lot of people are turned off to Avenged Sevenfold is because of Shadows' voice, but he was able to maintain a lot of that element. There is grit there, even though there is a very deep nasal rhythm to it. And it's a nasal structure that a lot of people may also cite as one of the main reasons why they don't like the band. The guitar playing on this album is exceptionally tight. Overall, just the musical performance on this is top-notch. They're able to get in violins and a couple of other assorted instruments in order to help out with some of the more cinematic feeling songs to really add depth and another layer of overall dynamic. It's just a very, very nice touch. It's subtle at times, and other times it's a bit more in your face. It's all situational. And that's the thing. This is an album where it feels like within every situation, Avenged Sevenfold made the right choice. It just seemed like their songwriting was at its tightest and at its peak right here. They just really knew exactly what they wanted to do and were able to kind of capture that lightning in a bottle for an entire 70-minute long period in duration. And the help from Andy Wallace, who was the producer on this album, who's done everything from work for Slayer to Portugal the Man to, other assorted elements of music. Really, he's a traveled journeyman of multiple styles. It all just really came together very well for the band. Now, one of the big things that helped this album sell like it did were the singles. Backcountry and The Beast and the Harlot are two huge singles on the radio that really did what they were supposed to do. It attracted enough people to really check out this band who may have heard them before or just heard the name in passing, either that or who were completely brand new to the fold and thought that maybe City of Evil was their debut, and man, were they going to be surprised. However, this also worked out because these tracks just have all of the qualities of great radio metal hits. They have a nice catchy rhythm to them, they have aggressiveness, and they have just the ability to really cause your toe to tap a little bit. It's a great little sense of balance that gives those tracks the real ability to shine, and they were able to do exactly that on the radio. And then you add in Seize the Day, which is basically Avenged Sevenfold's power ballad, and you have the perfect trilogy, the perfect trinity, the triptych that you need for a successful album. As I said, I'm pretty sure this is the album of Avenged Sevenfold of A7X that I enjoy the most, even though I do have some problems with its duration, thinking that they were a little bit over-ambitious even still and a little over-indulgent at times. However, this is something that can quickly be kind of overlooked as opposed to something that really beats your face in, which is what happened with Waking the Fallen. Everything seems to be a little bit more in place here, and it seems as though any sort of excess that could have been trimmed would probably sound a little bit stranger had it been trimmed. So overall, this is more of a minor complaint than anything else. The performances are solid, and the music is big, rich, and has a lot of great qualities to it. So if I were to recommend any album for a new Avenged Sevenfold fan, this would probably be the one, although it's at times a little bit inaccessible for a new fan, especially one that's going to be going from, 3 to 4 minute long songs to songs that are spanning over 9. But it's definitely one that has a little bit more of the trademark Avenged Sevenfold sound than any of the others, so this is the one I would probably pinpoint. With that all being said, it was time for Avenged to expand and explore a little bit more and throw their fans a bit of a curveball. It's an album that has no title. Well, that's because it's self-titled. We're going to talk about that one coming up.